All right, welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur Insider Secrets podcast. This time we're going to be talking about optimizing your website for conversions. So, a little bit of a different take on things than what we normally spend time on, but it's also something that's very, very important because obviously, as any of you know, having a website is important for your business. It's important for you to be able to grow and to have a functioning business where people can engage and interact with you. But having a website alone is not enough. Just having a website, great, but it needs to actually support your business and actually needs to be a functioning role in helping you get customers, helping you take care of your customers, helping you provide your service that you're doing to your customers. And so we need to make sure that your website is optimized so that it's doing the best that it can to help support your business goals and objectives. So what we're going to talk about is optimizing that. How do you optimize your website for conversions? How do you optimize it so that it does the things that you want it to do? So first thing we always want to do is we want to talk about a little bit or what are website conversions. Well, let's just clarify so that we're all on the same page and we know what we mean by that. So when I say a website conversion and you go, "What, David, what are you talking about?" That now a website conversion is something that happens when someone goes to your website and they take the desired action step. So that can be any number of things. It could be someone goes to your website and they go in and they decide, "Hey, I'm interested in watching this training that you have. I'm interested in downloading your ebook." And so they put their name and their email address in, and they join your email list. That's a conversion. They did a thing. Or maybe they go to your website and they make a purchase. That's a conversion. A conversion occurs when you get somebody to go to your website and do one of the desired actions that you have for them. And again, it's usually one of two things. It's usually opting in and becoming a lead, putting their name and email address in and becoming a lead and becoming a new lead for your business, or becoming an actual customer. It's usually one of those two things. And again, it's something that, getting traffic to your website is great. Getting people to come to your website and read your content, watch your videos, engage with what it is that you're doing is great. And that's very, very important. But it doesn't, in and of itself, that doesn't support your business. That doesn't support your goals or your dream of what you're trying to achieve, simply because visitors don't do anything. They just come and they read and they watch and they leave. They don't actually take any steps further. The goal of all this is to draw them in to have content there, to get them to come to your website, to get them to go there to see and to hear and to engage with things, but then also to go in and to take a step, become that lead, become that customer, take that next step, become the next part of the journey. So these are the things that we build our websites for, right? We build the websites so that it makes it easy for people to join our email list. So it makes it easy for people to become our customers and fulfill our business objectives. So what are some of the things that prevent that? What are some of the things that stop that? Well, some of the most common ones are simply, technology related. It could be that your website loads really slow. If you've ever been on, your phone and you're scrolling and you read a news article, and there are some news sites out there. I'm not exactly sure what they're thinking or what they're doing, but they are so overloaded with ads. They are so overloaded with spammy content that you can't even load the page. Like, you were reading an article and you quickly realize, oh, this is more of a clickbait article than I thought it was going to be. And the page is taking forever to load. And so what do? You bounce. You just say, all right, I'm out of here. This is a mess. So again, you think of it, if your website is slow to load, people will just leave. They go, I don't know, this thing's it's not pulling up, and I'm not going to fight it. I don't care enough to keep going. So I'm just going to move on. and I'm going to go and do something else and go read something else. And so that's the first thing. Do you have a web host that provides good load times? Do you have a web host that provides a good speed for loading your pages? Do your pages have so much garbage on them, so many ads, so many videos, so many images that they take forever to load? Something to think about, something to look at on your site. It does, when you go there, and you can go there yourself, go to your own website pages. Do they load reasonably quickly? Can people navigate them without a problem? Because if not, people are just going to walk away. They're going to give up and they're going to leave because they're going to be like, yeah, this thing doesn't want to load. I can't get it, so I'm just going to go on. So next thing is confusing navigation. Again, if they're reading and it's very confusing as to, like, if you do have a next step, like, here, get my free resource and join my email list, or do this and become a customer. If it's confusing to them what it is, like, what am I supposed to do? It's not a clear navigation. It's not like, how do I get this information? Where do I need to go? It's confusing to them. They don't know and understand. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Because there's so much, usually caused by there's so much stuff. When there's too much stuff on a page, when it's just overloaded with material and links to this and links to that, and there's all this stuff all over the place, it just becomes very, very difficult. It becomes very confusing, and people after a while go, I don't know what I'm supposed to even do. And what do they do then? They leave. So that's something that's there. Another thing is a lack of trust. If, again, I mentioned earlier, a website where, we all go on there and we'll see like the news of the day type thing, and we click on it and we go to these sites and it is just spam, spam, spam all over this page. What does that immediately do to you as a reader? It's like, this is not a good site, right? That's the first thing that kind of goes through my head, is like, oh, this is a garbage site. It's full of spam and I don't trust them. They're doing a lot of stuff on here that I don't want. I'm getting out of here before I accidentally click on something, or they, put malware on my computer or whatever. I'm getting out of here. Like, if your site is full of spammy content, or if the copy that you have is written very spammy, it's written in a way that's a very spammy amount of content, people are immediately going to go, yeah, I don't like it here. It's like going into, when you're in college, you would, go bar hopping, and you would go to a bar and you would all of a sudden walk in and go, oh, I don't want to be here. This is not a good place to be. This is a pretty seedy place. I don't want to be here. Let's get out of here. And you immediately leave. Well, the same thing is true with a web page, with a website. And if it's full of stuff that's on there that looks very shady or very suspicious or just doesn't invoke a lot of trust, and it's not, and a lot of that comes from just not being simple and clear and easy to understand. You have to understand that when there's all sorts of extra confusing things in there, and it seems very salesy, buy, and it's very high pressure, people just start losing trust. People start looking at it and just going, yeah, I don't know about this. I don't feel so good about this. I'm out of here. Another thing is too many distractions. Again, this is another one where I don't know what some of these news sites are doing. If they put on so many ads on there, and it's like the article that you're reading is like a 5-paragraph article, but to get to that 5-paragraph article, you got to go through 10 ads. And it is just like one paragraph, 3 ads, one paragraph, 3 more ads. And you're just like, are you kidding me? And it is impossible. So what do? This thing is one massive distraction. There's too many flashing this and blinking that. And it's just like, okay, get out of here. And sometimes people like to put every little gadget and gizmo on their website and make it full of all sorts of things that are just confusing. They just get in the way. They're noisy. They just are distracting. And people are like, I don't want this. I don't know what it's too much. And the last thing that I would tell you, which is a real conversion killer, is a unclear call to action. Now, what I see a lot is, people will have a lead magnet on there. They'll have an opt-in form where, here, click on this to enter your name and email to get on there, but it's not clear. It's not positioned in a way that makes logical sense. It's not placed in a part of the page where people will, read something about this and go, oh, well, if you would like a resource that deals exactly with this, click here. Wow, that makes sense. But no, they stick it in places, or they stick it in a corner of the page and people can't find it. And even if they wanted to do this step, even if they wanted to enter their contact information, they don't even, it's so confusing as to where to do it and how to do it that they just give up and they just go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So again, some of the common themes here is simpler is better on a lot of these things. So when you're dealing with your website, a page should have one mission. Okay. One web page should have one mission. It should not have 25 different things going on in it. It should have this one page should all be about one idea with one mission, asking people to take one specific step. It should not have a whole bunch of different call to actions. Well, join this and be a part of that and do this and do that. Whew. After a while, it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on or what you want me to do, or I don't want to do any of it at this point because I'm not sure what this even is. And it's too much. It's unclear. So make things simple, make things easy to understand, make things very logical so that when people read an article, oh, that was really interesting. And if you'd like the full article, or if you would like the full report, or you'd like the full video where I break down everything, just click here to watch or click here to download. Oh, see how simple that is? That's very clear. It's very, very clear. You can give them a taste, and then if you want the full thing, here it is. Or if you want, a more in-depth thing, or, you give a little bit of this and you want here, if you want to see a case study where I show exactly how this goes and how this works and how it could benefit you, click here to watch it. They're already reading an article or a blog post or something on your website that's talking about this. And now you're offering them the opportunity to put their name and email in for something that's very highly related to what they just consumed. Okay, that's simple, clear, and easy to understand. That's straightforward. That's simple for them. With the buttons positioned correctly and the instructions are clear and simple, okay, no problem. People will click in and make it super easy. And yet too many people make it hard. They make it complicated. They position things in ways that don't make sense. So people have to go hunting for it. And people get confused and people don't know where to go. And so it becomes very confusing for them. And yet then you have, some other things, that are just all in the way. And it's all so much confusion that you just don't know what to do. So the main thing that I would take away from all of that is simple is better. Keep it simple, clean, because the less noise you have on that page, the faster the page is going to load. It's going to load a lot faster if there's just a very limited number of images and some text and a clear call to action. Okay, that's pretty simple and straightforward. People can get through that fairly easily. That page will load. If you have a good web host, it'll load fairly quickly. And if it's not loaded with a bunch of garbage, it'll work. It'll be just fine. And people will get in it and they'll click and they'll opt in very easily and simply. Now, how do you know? How do you know if you're doing a good job of this? Well, you need to always, the numbers will tell you, right? Some people will say, well, I don't know if my page is optimized well. I don't know if it's doing a good job. Well, there's a way to find out, but that is, you need to know, you need to be tracking your information. You need to have tracking on your site to know how many people go to this page, how many people actually opt in, how many people actually become customers. So by doing these things that you're getting the right results. So you need to be tracking how many people out of the total converted. If I send 100 people to this page, how many of them opted in for the thing that I was offering? Because, for example, we do a lot of live trainings and different things like that. And we send traffic to a page where people can register and they can sign up for the live training. Great. How do you know if your page is doing well or not? Well, it's basically, you have to know how many people go there and how many people actually did the thing that you asked them to. What percentage of them are converting. Because if you're getting, 10% of the people to convert just for a free opt-in for like a free training, it's pretty low. That's a pretty minimal opt-in rate. You want to be in the 20 something percent, 20 to 25% range of opt-ins to get people to sign in. And then you can look at how many people went to that page and just left. How many people, and if you have Google Analytics on your site, it'll even tell you the average time on your page was 8 seconds. Well, that tells you that people weren't there very long, doesn't it? That tells you that people were not reading very far. They got there, immediately felt like this isn't what I want, and they bailed. And so that tells you a lot. The time on the page, the click-through rate, how many of these things, how many people are clicking on that link you have on the page, what percentage of people are doing that. So again, you need to make sure that you have some tools on your website. Google Analytics is a good one. It's a free service that you can have that will track the data on your website so that like, okay, how, and you can go in and you can look at your account and you can see like, okay, this is the number of people that are on, this is the number of people that are engaging and how many people stuck around. And these are the pages that people are going to. And, Hotjar is another one that you can use that has a free level that you can also go in and use to get a lot of good data in terms of what's going on your website. So those are a couple of tools that you can use to track everything. So we've talked about a lot of the problems at this point. We've talked about a lot of the things that are killing it. Let's talk now about some things that can help improve. Let's talk about some things that will make your website convert better. First one is clear and compelling messaging. You need to have copy the words that you have on your website, on that web page. They need to be clear. Okay. In other words, people need to be able to read them and understand clearly what it is. It needs to be clear that, yes, okay, you're clearly communicating the value of what it is that you're offering. It's very, very clear. And the copy is speaking to something that they're interested in, and it's not confusing them. So don't try to over-explain. Too many times people try and write to solve a big problem when they should just be solving one smaller problem at a time. If you have a big problem, break it up into pieces if you need to. Don't try and turn this into some level of, like, oh, I need to make this massive comprehensive thing that's going to talk about 25 different things. No, keep it simple, keep it straightforward, keep it easy to consume. Don't overdo it. Don't overkill it, because the too much information will absolutely overwhelm people. Make it simple, make it easy to consume, make it straightforward, make it compelling. So they read it and there's a simple like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I actually do want that thing that you're offering because that makes perfect, clear, logical sense for me to take that step. I want to do it. Bang, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sign up. The design and layout is another thing on your site that needs to be thought of. And again, too many times people fall in love with so many things on their website that they overcomplicate it. They turn a website into just like 200 different things on it, and there's so much stuff there, and drop down menus upon drop down menus, and it's hard to find anything because there's so much stuff there. And so what you want to do is you want to have very simple navigation. Your menus should be simple and easy to understand, especially for a visitor, someone who's just coming to the front end of the website. Maybe not, for a member, they can have more involved and more in depth. But for somebody who's just coming and visiting the website, this is just about simple. We want them to easily know where to go and what to do. And it's not overwhelming for them. There's not like 12 things they have to click through to get to the one thing that they want. It's simple. The flow of it is simple. It's direct. It's not hard to understand. It's very clear. It's a very easy path for them to follow, because people will get confused quite easily otherwise. They will easily get confused. They will easily get lost and not know where to go and what to do. And when they get to that place, they just leave. That's just how it is. And as well, this involves using white space appropriately. Again, too many times I go on some of these news article places, there is zero white space. It is just full of pop-ups and ads and everything's in your face. There's no white space at all. And if you've ever read a book without margins, I mean, I got a book recently that had the tiniest margins I have ever seen, and it was incredibly difficult to read. You know, you're just like, man, why did you do this? Like, who thought this was a good idea? They just have these tiny little margins, and you had to hold the book wide open and pull it open in the middle to even see the words in the center of the page. And you're just like, are you kidding me? This is terrible. Who thought of this? It made it so difficult to consume. And again, white space does the same thing on your website. White space is important. It makes it easy to stay with the flow. You can just focus on the words, and it keeps the stuff around it uncluttered. It keeps it easy to read, easy to see, and it just makes everything very simple. And so, you know, use appropriate white space. Use colors that are not harsh and not like hard to consume, hard to deal with. There's a lot of times people just try to create the most I think they're trying to create the most obnoxious stuff I've ever seen. And I'm just like, man, it's like almost hurts my eyes to look at this thing. Like, don't do that, because eventually I'm just going to get annoyed and leave. Again, make the colors easy to go through, make them pleasant to go through, make them something that's easy and nice to consume. And again, make it mobile responsive, because let's be honest, most people today are doing things not on a desktop or you know, in a laptop as much as they used to. They're doing things on an iPhone, an iPad, or an Android. They're on mobile devices because people are on the go all the time. They're running to and from here and there, and you know, they're sitting in the parking lot waiting to pick up their kid from school or whatever, and so they're on their phone and they're reading and they're going. This is where a lot of content is consumed. So you need to make sure that when you're building a page, it is mobile responsive, that you can look at it and go, yeah, this, you know, looks great on my laptop, but it also works well on my phone, because that's where most of the people are going to be consuming the content. And then you just want to make sure that your call to actions, whether they be how to buy or whether they be how to opt in and become part of your, you know, email list, that they're clear and they're easy to find. Again, I've been talking about this a little bit already. Is that next step clear and easy to understand? And do people feel like there's a high level of trust in taking that step? Because again, we've all been there. Like I have a nightmare story where I will not mention the name of the business because the business actually shut down, which is not a surprise based on their behavior. But they were so aggressive. They had a little $27 mini course that was something that I was interested in, and I bought it. And I thought, this is actually going to be useful and helpful information for me. So I bought the little $27 mini course. Over the course of the next 2 hours, my phone exploded because they called me, pounded me, just harassed me, texted me endlessly, trying to sell me into their high-end coaching program, which was several $1,000s. And I'm like, I don't want your high-end coaching program. I don't want to spend $5,000. I just wanted all I wanted was this little mini course. That's it. I don't need any of your other stuff. That's not what I was interested in at all. Well, doing those things, I lost all trust in them. I'm like, okay. And they were harassing me, and I blocked the phone numbers and because they wouldn't stop. And so then they texted me from another phone number. And I was like, you need to stop. I'm not interested. They wouldn't give up. They pounded me like I was a piece of meat, and they were vultures all fighting over it. I was like, oh my word, go away. Stop it. And needless to say, that business is gone. And I would argue is because it was a lack of trust. You need to make your opt-in forms clear, easy to understand, very straightforward and simple. What does that do? It makes them much more trustworthy. People will go, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. I feel perfectly comfortable with that. It's not this, you know, because other people have had similar experiences to what I just described. Well, people go in and they were attacked. And no one wants to sign up or put their name and email in if they're going to then in turn become attacked. That's not what you want. I mean, honestly, I was at a point where I was almost sad that I bought that doggone thing and wish I could have undid the transaction, but it was too late. it was too late at that point. I was officially on the radar. They were in attack mode, and the sales monsters, all the sharks, were smelling blood in the water, and they were trying to attack me on every level possible: email, phone calls, texts. No matter what I did to stop them and block them, they just came from a different email and a different number. It was relentless until I finally told them to basically go jump off a cliff because I was done. That was the only way to get through their head, because they would not give up. And so building something that's simple, straightforward, clear, logical, trustworthy is going to increase your conversions significantly. Don't try and oversell it. Don't become over spammy, over salesy. It just be straightforward and honest and simple about it, and you'll create trust, and people will be much more likely to opt in. Now, I want to cover just a few real quick advanced strategies that you can use to try and now you know like what you shouldn't do, you know what you should do. How do you make some improvements? How do you optimize what you already currently have? Well, there's some things that you can do. Like, one of the first things that you need to know is there are certain elements on your page that are going to become the most important. One of the primary elements on every page is the headline. Okay, so if you read a headline, again, if you read anything, the headline's the first thing you're always going to read. That's the first piece of content you can always going to consume. If you read that headline and you go, not interested, okay, it doesn't matter what's on the rest of the page, does it? Because you're done right there. The headline is not appealing. It's not drawing people in. If the headline does two things, it shows value, and it shows that there's a benefit to continuing to read, and it creates curiosity to learn more, the headline will do a good job. So that's one of the first things you can do is you can test different headlines. You can, see if I change the headline to this, does that increase the number of leads? Does that increase the number of people who are actually staying on the page and reading the rest of the page? Because, otherwise people read that headline and they go, nope, no interest. You can, change button colors and the layout, because maybe your button isn't very easy to see. Maybe it looks very stylish, but people are having a hard time finding it to hit the button to opt in to join your email list. And maybe it needs to be a brighter color so people can see it more easily. Maybe it needs to be something that's more easily found and can be easily located, so people know easily, quickly what they need to do. And then, you need to be watching your numbers. If you're going to optimize, you need to know it. Well, you need to know what your numbers were before you made the change, and you need to know what the numbers were after you made the change to know, did you make it better? Did you make it worse? And we do this all the time on marketing campaigns. We try different headlines, and we'll even run different ads to the same registration page, and we'll test those ads. And then after a few days, we'll know, well, that ad's not doing so well, but this one is. Like, we used a different picture, and that picture is pulling more people in. Or we used a different headline on this one. That was more effective in getting more people to sign up. So that will make a big difference. Testing different things like that you can find ways to optimize and take a result that may be a little below what you want and improve it and make it better. You could try personalization. And this is something that can be very effective. I know a lot of our clients get speaking opportunities. They go out to different places. They go out to different locations, and they get opportunities to speak to perhaps a company. And there could be a large number of people at that company, and they have a good audience that they're speaking to. Well, something that could resonate very well with them and work very well is you can create a page on your website that is specifically targeted to, people of XYZ company. And you can create a page that's just for them. And it could be a very similar content to another page that you already have that's more generic, but it's specifically targeted to people who attended that talk that you gave at that company or that organization. And it can be specifically targeted to them and the things that you talked about in your speech to them and the opportunity that you gave, or maybe you gave an online talk to a group of doctors. And so create a page that specifically talks about what you can do for doctors. You can customize some of your stuff, and that can greatly improve your conversions because they know that you're offering something that's directly related to what you talked to them about. And they were like, yeah, I'm interested. You're speaking directly to me. This is just for me and just for the people like me who are in that room. They feel that it's much more personalized, much more customized, and that can do a tremendous job in converting people because they feel like, oh, this isn't some generic resource, this isn't some generic thing. This resource that you're offering is highly customized to what I'm needing and to what I'm doing with my life. And so that can become a very, very powerful way of getting extra conversions. Another way, again, retarget people. A lot of times people, we talked about why people bounce and why they don't take action. One of the many things I didn't mention up to this point is people get distracted or busy. And, I talked about earlier, like sometimes people are sitting there in the drive-through, carpool pickup lane, and they're waiting to pick up their kids. And the reason that they stopped reading your page may have been, oh, the kids came out. And now the kids are getting in the car. Okay, I set down my phone and the kids are in. Now we got to go. And then I forget and I get distracted. Okay. So the reason that they stopped and didn't consume any more content, the reason that they quit reading, the reason that they didn't opt in wasn't that you did anything wrong. It's that they got distracted. They got, the kids got in the car, or all of a sudden, something happened and, oh, I got to go. And, I need to go leave and I have to go do this, or I was reading it. Oh, it's time for me to go to a meeting. I have to go leave and go do this. And so they got something that happened. So what you can do is you can create a very cheap, simple retargeting ad to anybody that came to your page but didn't convert. And you can remind them to return and to come back and to finish and to opt in for the thing that you were offering. And it's a very low cost way of getting a lot of leads. It's a very low cost way because people already expressed some interest. And again, it happens all the time. People are reading and all of a sudden they get distracted or something else happens, or, all of a sudden the dog in the other room is throwing up and they're going, oh, crud, set down the phone. I got to go clean up the dog mess, or any number of things. It could be anything whatsoever. And people all of a sudden, stop reading it. It was nothing to do that you did wrong. And so then they forget about it again because now they're dealing with all this other stuff. And by putting a simple ad in front of them to remind them, oh yeah, I was reading that. I want to go back to that, can greatly increase your conversions. And again, last thing I'll mention here is, and I kind of hinted at this all along, is building trust and credibility throughout this process is incredibly important. If you want people to take that next step, if you want them to opt into your email list or become a customer, one of the most important things that you can do is build trust. People have to trust you. They have to know that, hey, you're putting out something that I can believe in. You're putting out something that I can trust in. And I feel good about moving forward with you, even if it's just putting my name and email in. And again, that is a trade-off because we all have been in those situations where I give you my contact information. One time when we were searching for a car for my daughter, when we were getting her first car, we went looking at a place and they had a couple cars, but it was really nothing that we were interested in. And these car dealers were demanding that we give them our phone numbers. And I gave him my phone number, and this guy called and starts yelling at me because we didn't buy a car from him. And I'm just like, what? We were never even interested. We never even got to the point where we sat down and we just looked at a few and said, yeah, thanks, no thanks. We moved on. We didn't even get serious about it. And now he's calling me, yelling at me. You said you were going to buy a car for me. I'm like, no, I never did. We never even seriously, we didn't even take one for a test drive. We didn't even get to the point of anything. I mean, and so people have memories like that where they don't want to give out their contact information because they don't want to get harassed. So things that you can do on your page: show testimonials, show case studies, show social proof, show security badges if they're making a purchase that this transaction is safe, show guarantees, return policy, clear pricing, all of those types of things to make that person feel safe, to make that person feel like they can trust you, make that person feel like they're not going to get harassed, they're not going to get harangued, they're not going to get beat up for taking a step with you. Because, and it's not even that you are necessarily going to be bad about this, but they've had bad experiences with other people. All of us have. We've all had experiences like the ones that I've described today. And as a result, people are hesitant, they're tentative because they don't know, should I do this? Because, I remember the time before I took that step and it turned out bad. So you need to do everything you can to say, it's okay. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to be dishonest. I'm not going to harass you. It's okay. You can take the next step. And when you do that, you build trust, and then people are willing to take the next step with you. Once they become a lead and they realize you didn't mistreat them, now they're much more willing to take the next step, which is become a customer. Because, oh, you actually treat people well. You don't treat us poorly. You don't harass us. You don't pound on us. You just, treat us with respect. So, in wrapping this up today, just remember your website is a powerful sales tool. It's a powerful tool to build your business, but it has to be set up well for it to do that. If it's set up poorly and it's too confusing and too complicated and too messy, it's actually not supporting your business. If it's unclear and it's just kind of a jumbled mess, it's not supporting your business. It needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. It needs to be focused on doing the one thing it needs to do, which is generate leads and customers for your business. So if you can do that, you're doing great. If you'd like help with that, check out designlaunchgrow.com. We'd be happy to work with you. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again in the next episode.